The rain was coming down in sheets that evening, drumming against the windshield of John Kennedy's black SUV as it rolled quietly into the back alley of a bustling city street. Few knew that John, the successful entrepreneur and philanthropist, owned a popular restaurant downtown. He had invested in it not for fame or profit, but because he wanted to create a place where people, both guests and staff, felt valued, respected, and cared for. But John didn't often visit as the owner. Instead, he would sneak in unannounced, blending with the crowd to see how things really worked when no one knew he was watching. That night, John Kennedy pulled up his hood and slipped through the side entrance of his restaurant. The aroma of fresh garlic bread, roasted herbs, and sizzling steak filled the air. Laughter floated from the dining room, the sound of glasses clinking in a warm chorus of joy. To any outsider, it looked like the perfect evening of thriving customers, skilled chefs, attentive servers. But John had learned over the years that appearances were deceptive. True stories lived behind the curtain, where no customer's eyes ever reached. He made his way past the kitchen, nodding discreetly at the line cooks, until a faint, muffled sound reached his ears. At first, he thought it was the hum of a vent or the rush of water from the sink, but then he froze. It wasn't mechanical. It was human. It was crying. John stopped cold. The sound cut through the clatter of dishes and the rhythm of chopping knives like a wounded bird's call in a forest. It came from the far corner, near the staff lockers. He hesitated, then slowly followed the sound, and there, half hidden behind the doorframe, he saw Hira, a young server, sitting on a crate, shoulders trembling, face buried in her hands. She couldn't have been more than 21. Her apron was stained from a long shift, her hair tucked clumsily under a headband. She didn't notice John standing there. Quietly, he stepped closer and spoke gently. "Are you all right?" The girl jolted up, wiping her eyes quickly, forcing a smile. "Yeah, I'm fine, sir. Just allergies. I'll get back to work." But John could see the truth. He had been around too many broken hearts and weary souls to miss it. "Allergies don't make tears fall like that," he said softly. "Talk to me, please." For a moment, she hesitated. Then, as if the weight inside her chest had finally found a crack to escape, she whispered, "I can't do this anymore." Her voice cracked. "I'm trying so hard, a broken bar stool, bills, double shifts, but I'm drowning." And tonight, a customer yelled at me because their food was late. I smiled and apologized, but when I turned away, it just her voice broke again. "It just hurt. I feel invisible, like I don't matter." John felt a deep ache in his chest. Here was one of his own employees, someone who worked tirelessly to uphold the dream he built, yet she felt unseen, unheard, unvalued. "What's your name?" he asked softly. "Emily," she murmured. "Emily," he repeated, as if the name itself deserved honor. Then he took a deep breath. "Do you know who I am?" She shook her head, puzzled. "I'm John Kennedy," he said quietly. "I own this place." Her eyes widened, panic flickering across her face. "Oh, sir, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Please, don't fire me." But John raised a hand gently. "Fire you?" "Emily, number. Tonight you gave me the most important gift anyone could. Honesty. You reminded me why I built this restaurant in the first place. Not for food, not for profit, but for people. For you." Tears welled in Emily's eyes again, but this time they weren't born of despair. They were from relief. John sat beside her on the crate, his voice low but firm. "I know what it feels like to be unseen. Years ago, before I had anything, I worked jobs where no one remembered my name. I was just another pair of hands, and it broke me. That's why I swore, if I ever built something of my own, it would never just be a business. It would be a family." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Emily, you matter. Your work matters, and your pain, it matters too. From now on, I'm making changes, not just for you, but for every single person who puts on this apron." The next morning, Job held a private meeting with his entire staff. The room was filled with weary servers, busy cooks, and cleaning staff who rarely had the chance to speak with the owner directly. They expected announcements about sales or shifts, but John's message stunned them. "Last night," he began, "I learned something. I learned that some of you feel invisible, unappreciated, and overwhelmed. That ends today. This restaurant is nothing without you. From this day forward, we're implementing mental health support, fairer scheduling, and a recognition program to celebrate the efforts you put in every day. Because you're not just workers, you're human beings, and you deserve to be seen." The room fell silent. Then, slowly, applause began. It wasn't loud at first, but it grew with claps from trembling hands, smiles breaking across tired faces. For the first time, they felt like more than employees. They felt like family. As for Emily, she stayed after the meeting, tears shining in her eyes, but this time, they were tears of gratitude. John placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder and said, "One day, when you're where you dream to be, remember this moment. Remember that you matter, always." And in that instant, Emily realized something powerful. Sometimes the greatest leaders aren't the ones who stand on stages or sit in corner offices. Sometimes, they're the ones who walk quietly into the shadows, hear a cry no one else hears, and still be because they know that even one unseen soul is worth everything. The restaurant thrived like never before, not because of better food, but because of stronger hearts. John Kennedy didn't just own a restaurant, he owned a legacy of compassion, and Emilia, once a server ready to give up, became living proof that kindness can change the course of a life. Because when a leader chooses to see the unseen, the invisible become unstoppable.